Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Wednesday, July 23rd, 2014. This article caught my eye. It was on the Drudge Report. There's not a whole lot of explanation here. Rand Paul calls for jailing people who attend radical political speeches. And the quote is, if someone is attending speeches from someone who is promoting the violent overthrow of our government, that's really an offense that we should be going after. They should be deported or put in prison, end quote. This reminded me a little bit of what Alex Jones was talking about yesterday related to the Silk Road and the idea that people can be prosecuted potentially for something that somebody else puts on their website as a comment or whatever. If you attend, first of all, isn't this speech protected under the First Amendment, just generally? Secondly, if you attend a political speech, do you know at the outset what the person is going to say? And it's not possible to control everything in life, just as it's not possible to completely control comments on a website or what goes on a public access website. It's also not possible to control what happens at a speech that we attend. So this is really, in some respects, this is almost like the kind of the reverse of pre-crime, or maybe it is pre-crime. If you were to go to a speech by a certain person who's known to have radical views, you could be arrested for that. This is just, I'm disappointed in Rand Paul, and I hope at some point there's some kind of an explanation of this that makes sense. From Natural News, proof governments manipulate online polls to sway public opinion. And I have a few examples of this potentially. From Before News, CNN poll, majority of Americans side with Israel in Gaza fighting. Is this really the case, or have these numbers been manipulated to some extent? Of course, we know that most Americans are pretty brainwashed, and this has real deep roots in a lot of churches to believe that Israel is God's chosen people and can do no wrong. But reading such Bible passages as Romans 2, of course, we realize that that is not really the case. We've gone way overboard in our belief that Israel is something special. Maybe it is something special. It's the Holy Land. But at the same time, aren't the Christians living in Palestine also something special? So again, I'm hoping maybe the poll was manipulated a little bit. Here's another interesting figure. Insane 1 in 10 Americans wants war with Russia over Downed Airliner. 85% believe Russia is responsible for a missile attack. So is this a manipulated poll, or is this really what people believe? And of course, the American public is pretty easy to manipulate, as we know, and mainstream media certainly does everything they can to accomplish that. And this is from another voice, Revelation 18:4. And this author believes that this downed airliner was totally scripted. Here's the quote: Russia has suddenly become the big bad villain, totally scripted. In the fake Gog-Magog scenario, they have to play the lead role of enemy from the north. And the idea here is that the elite are trying to force the Armageddon, basically. And I don't happen to be in a phase of my life where I strongly believe this is something that is imminent. In fact, I hope with all my heart that we avoid World War III at this juncture, and that we all can move together into a new golden age. I don't think it's at all clear or that there's anything written anywhere that states that this is absolutely what has to happen. Of course, this is being forced on us by people who have read the Bible and who believe that they can use our, if you want to call it, faith to accomplish their evil ends. And as Christians, I think it's crucial that we learn how to not add our amen to the evil plans of wicked people. This is an interesting aspect of the Malaysian Airlines crash from Global Research. The Malaysian Airlines MH17 crash, financial warfare against Russia, multi-billion-dollar bonanza for Wall Street. And this is a pretty detailed, extensive article with charts, and you can certainly read it for yourself. But again, one aspect of the crash. And from Washington's blog report, Ukrainian fighter jets hid behind passenger plane, pulled away and dropped bombs, and then hid behind plane once again. Is this why the plane was shot down? Senior U.S. officials now admit that the Malaysian Airlines passenger plane was likely accidentally shot down. So this is the current view on this. I saw an article on RT as well, and this is what appears to have happened. And I don't know if we'll ever know the absolute truth about all this, but I'm leaning toward believing that, and I'm hoping that Americans will figure that out, and that this crisis will wind down without any serious consequences. And I have some articles from networked blogs that I did not open in a separate tab because I knew that they would freeze my Firefox. So I'll just scroll through these. You may have heard about this yesterday. Alex Jones was talking about this. Border Patrol agent draws gun on Boy Scout over a photograph. A group of Boy Scouts from central Iowa received a lesson they won't forget in federal manners at a border crossing from Canada into Alaska. And yes, a boy was taking a photo, and a Border Patrol agent drew a gun on the boy with the camera. So that's where we live. That's America now. And again, these kinds of occurrences pretty much always remind me of the end of Lord of the Rings, when the hobbits return to the Shire to find Saruman embedded there as one of the leaders. Fed slams Deutsche Bank and its 55 trillion franc in derivatives, accuses it of significant operational risk. This is from Zero Hedge, so I guess there's trouble in paradise here. The bankers are turning on each other, and it'll be interesting to see if we hear more about that. Just this morning, this is also from Zero Hedge, 51 dead as TransAsia flight makes forced landing in South China Sea. And I'm glad that, it wasn't any worse than this. It sounds as if it could have been much worse. So that hasn't made the big news yet, and whether or not that turns out to be significant or not, we'll watch over the next few days. And John Rappaport had two just excellent blogs that I wanted to mention. The first one that I'm mentioning is from today, The Significance of a Forgotten CIA Document, MKULTRA. And from yesterday, Monsanto FDA two crime families' trillion-dollar hustle. And that's just helpful information to understand the approach that they take in using the MSM to manipulate American sentiment, and not just American sentiment, but sentiment pertaining to Monsanto, GMOs, and the like. They try to confuse us so that we believe there is no answer, there is no truth. Well, of course there is truth, and we just have to maybe sometimes spend a little time unpacking it. This is an interesting video from RT. Politics panel, will red states dump Obamacare now? And there are some liberals on this panel, some people who hold opinions that some people watching this video might find offensive. But what was interesting to me here in this video was the discussion of basically a judicial monarchy, that decisions are handed down by the courts that really are not interpretation. They are just they're political mandates. And these people were concerned that the court decision pertaining to states, the subsidies that will impact Obamacare potentially. This panel is concerned that the court made a political decision, not a true interpretation of the Constitution, interpretation of the law, but that they actually made a political decision. And I'm not sure if I agree, but this is very interesting, the thought process here. And certainly I do agree that we, in many respects, have a judicial monarchy, and that is not good for anybody. From the Daily Poll, Obama meets with Apollo 11 astronauts, media blackout. And I included this today just because I have mentioned aliens a few times, and the potential for disclosure. And I again want to state I don't really have a strong opinion about that, whether it's true or not. But I do, I'm kind of at a place where I think it's important for us as thinking people to at least be open to the possibility. And why was there a media blackout here? I'm not sure, but even Alex Jones has mentioned that Buzz Aldrin and some of these guys saw some things. Alex Jones won't go out on a limb and say exactly what they saw. Buzz Aldrin was scheduled to be a guest on InfoWars some time ago and canceled. I think his family asked him not to appear. But evidently, these guys know something. They had some experience. They saw something. And once again, I just want to state that I think it's important for us to keep our minds open. And yes, there is potential for Project Bluebeam. Yes, there could be a fake alien disclosure. We need to be alert and be watching and be discerning and paying attention. And we'll see where all this goes. And for the good news of the day from End the Lie, Google to face lawsuit over providing consumer data to advertisers. And they were asking to have this dismissed. Here's a quote from the article. A federal judge has denied Google Inc.'s attempt to dismiss a privacy lawsuit brought against the technology giant for commingling user data across its different products and offering that data to advertisers without permission. U.S. District Judge Paul Grewal ruled Monday evening that Google has to face the breach of contract and fraud claims brought by users of Android devices who downloaded at least one Android application through Google Play. So it seems like recently some of these judges are making some of the right decisions, what I would consider the right decisions, and I kind of see this maybe in light of what was written a couple weeks ago. I think it was by David Wilcock, that these judges are handing down decisions that are more objective because and are more just because they've been threatened with potential arrest if they continue to do what they have been doing for some time, which is favoring corporations and allowing the Constitution and the Bill of Rights to be eroded. Thank you for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning, and morning always comes. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, be bold, be brave, and enforce the Bill of Rights.